Although by
the only team
by you guys, admittedly, I do mean most of you that listen to us that kind of loved us unconditionally anyway. So tell your friends, tell all your friends about this podcast.
Is that the cold open?
I hate myself for this. Yes, this is. We finally found a cold open.
God, man, no. Oh man, that's funny.
Welcome back to the Packy Run podcast. My name is AJ LaGambina.
And I am your co-host, Dan Mayotte.
And your boys are in grays and reds, and we're in flannel. It's finally, I think the high today in Nashville is like 65 degrees. It's almost jacket time. I'm so excited.
It's already being that in Massachusetts. Although right now I think it's hotter in Brighton right now than it is in Nashville.
Yeah, what's your high for the day?
79.
God.
I haven't been outside at all yet today.
I took a quick trip. This is my big update since last week. I bought a penny board finally. I've wanted one of those little plastic skateboards since I was like a freshman in high school, and I finally got one. It showed up at my door within 8 hours of ordering it from Amazon, which was unexpected. So,
I mean, of course.
So I was
like that.
I was stoked on that, and my immediate area around my house, the foundation of my house is like carved into the side of a hill, so it's not really ideal penny boarding conditions. Right here in this
spot.
You
gotta get a longboard.
I might still have one at my parents' house.
Dude, you gave me a skateboard.
I left you a skateboard, but yes.
No, this is what you said to me as you left our house senior year. You're like, oh, whatever I leave behind, like, you can have. I'll just give you money for it.
Yeah, if they charged us for leaving anything behind. That's what it was. That's what the money was in reference to. I'm not paying you to take my shit.
I mean, that's the goal.
I'm less concerned about the skateboard and more concerned about my goddamn basement hat.
I still have that.
I know, you still wear it.
Well, not recently. I mean, it's summer and spring and that kind of thing. But I have it tucked away somewhere. It definitely is here in my room.
It's about to be that time, though. I'm so excited about it.
Oh, yeah.
It's flannel shirt weather right now. Give it a few more weeks. We'll be able to wear jackets. I just want to wear layers.
Oh, yeah. The best time. The only thing that sucks about fall is like winter being up next. But let's get into our regular programming. Coming up, we got What We're Drinking. We're going to do some Patriots talk. We got a lot to talk about with the Patriots this week. We were impressed, to say the least.
Very much so.
And also, you guys have spoken on social media. There was a little bit of, like, it was very close, but ultimately it came down to what we wanted to talk about. And we are talking about Taking Back Sunday's album, their debut record, Tell All Your Friends. But before we go over all those things, what are you drinking, AJ?
Well, initially, I had bought myself a 6-pack of the champagne of beers to drink on the podcast, but we are...
Did you drink them all on Sunday night?
I did not drink them all on Sunday night. But I am... we are recording during the day again. It is 2:13 p.m. in Nashville, Tennessee. So instead, I'm being a smart boy... And I'm just drinking water. It's tap water filtered through a Brita filter that sits in my fridge. It is crisp. It is clear. It still kind of tastes a little bit like tap water, but it's good for you. So that's my beverage this week. Not much of a packy run, but I do have some Miller High Life sitting in the fridge, which I know we've said multiple times on this podcast that the best cheap beer is Narragansett, but that's like the best cheap beer overall. If we're talking about like spend $5 and manage to get yourself a 6-pack, it's got to be Miller High Life. You can get 40s, you can get the little stubbies, which are fucking awesome. And
yeah,
it tastes like corn. It doesn't taste like particularly good, but it goes down pretty easy. And it's better. I find it tastes better than any like Budweiser product or most of the other cheap beers, save for like PBR.
Yeah, I would agree with that generally. My favorite, you were talking about the stubbies and like the 40s. My favorite variation of the Miller High Life is when they have like the champagne bottles. They only have those during Christmas, but that's like, those are cool.
So plans are not firmed up yet, but I think I might be in Massachusetts for Christmas. I think that we're going to have to finally do an actual live show because we fucked up doing that in July. And yes, I think that if absolutely. We do that, we're going to have to do that with Miller High Life champagne bottles.
The champagne bottles. But you will not believe what I am drinking.
What are you drinking?
I am also drinking tap water. No filter, just regular old Boston water, probably the runoff from the Charles River.
Ooh.
So if I have a third arm next week, you'll know how I got it.
You might get drafted by the Patriots, though.
I mean, Bill Belichick would scoop me up in a heartbeat.
That's real. Just learn to run some routes.
But I did do something interesting this week. This weekend rather. There's this little, it's right near the Esplanade that you can go to. It's called the Night Shift Owls. And Night Shift is like this brewery in Boston, the Boston area. And it was fun just to hang out on a Saturday evening, or not Saturday evening, it was Saturday afternoon, have a couple beers and just chill out. What did I try? I'm looking at their website currently. I tried One Hop this time. It's a rotating single hop IPA. Can't complain. Good IPA. Like if you are a fan of IPAs, I would recommend. As well as I also had one of their hard seltzers. I am a hard seltzer. I love hard seltzer. I think it's fantastic.
I haven't found very many that I've been a huge fan of. But I find that the grapefruit ones seem to be pretty okay. And I think there was Natty Ice does hard seltzers, and I think it was like a strawberry lemonade hard seltzer or something like that. That was not
anything with Natty Ice. I generally stay away from.
I don't even remember what the context was where I tried that, but it was fine. They don't really rev my engine, you know.
To each his own, but the other beverage that I consumed was the Blood Orange Mango Seltzer, and pretty good. I'd give it a 10 out of 10. If you want to go there, you just have to put reservations. They fill up pretty quickly, but go to resi.com and hang out. Like, go get a burger or like some food and have some beer. It's a good time. Take your date there.
You've got that on lock.
True.
Speaking of things that are not, well, they're not necessarily on lock, but they're feeling really good. Let's talk about Sunday. Let's talk about the Patriots versus the Seahawks.
Okay. So far this season, like I've watched a little bit of football like here and there between a couple different teams. That was probably the best game so far this season, arguably. Hands down, no question. It was a fight till the end.
To the bitter end. And it was...
To the bitter end.
And it was not just... I mean, everybody, local media, national media, all of football media was extremely hyped up about this game. And it wasn't just because there's a lot of people, especially people in the prediction business, that are talking about an MVP year for Russell Wilson or the fact that the Seahawks came out on top. It's the Cam Newton hype is officially not just in New England. I think
Oh, yeah.
everybody is really now starting to realize how badly they screwed up by letting the Patriots get Cam Newton for $1 million.
Seriously. And I mean, there was a couple teams that needed a quarterback, but they were like, nah, we're good. We don't need him. It's like, dude, you really messed up there.
Yep. Because we have, like, Cam himself looks very impressive. He looked very impressive for the entire offseason. I mean, just the work ethic and the constant, like, the Instagram posts and the workout videos and the everything else. Like, Cam looked like he was hungry for all of this. So that was already an established fact. And then watching him on week 1, he was running the ball a lot. We pulled out a win, and everybody was just kind of like, okay, there are ways that this is going to work. And, you know, we'll see. The real test was this week. The real test was against the Seahawks. And I'm not sure if I said it on the podcast, but I know I said it to multiple people before the game. Like, it didn't really matter whether or not we won or lost this game. It really mattered what we looked like playing this game.
We looked good. To like summarize that, though.
So the fact that we lost by less than a touchdown, and the fact that we were seconds away from getting that touchdown in a very Patriots kind of manner, that game came down to the last seconds.
Right. Now, like, a lot of people were discussing, like, why would they use that play, like Cam doing like a quarterback draw, trying to run into like the end zone, and a lot of people criticize that move. I mean, like, we've gotten scores like that before. It's worked. Like, why not try it again? Like, see if they can actually stop it or not. Unfortunately, it didn't work out that way, like what we wanted it to. But I think we have something here.
Yeah, and we saw some long balls. We saw, you know, another just really impressive performance out of Julian Edelman and N'Keal Harry, both of whom were really productive pretty much the entire night. Like, the narrative is kind of flipped. Last year, it was the Patriots don't have enough weapons, and Brady wasn't elevating what weapons he had. He was just going with what he knew worked. It was just always short passes to Julian Edelman. You know, he tried a couple of times with his different receivers, wasn't really connecting with them, and just kind of, there was a lot of pouting in the media, on the sidelines, within the team. Like, there was just it seemed like there was a lot of just throwing up our hands and going, well, nothing's working. You know, the defense is great, but nothing's really productive on the offensive side of the ball. And now we're watching Cam actually working with some of those receivers, really elevating them. We saw just a really, really good performance and a really nice kind of warning shot to the rest of the NFL where, like, the Pats are dangerous this year. And if they're able to lock in a couple of additional pieces, we're going to be really dangerous. Again, I'm not sitting back and saying Super Bowl winning team. I'm not even saying that late into the playoffs or anything. But what was your prediction for this season's record?
I said 10-6.
Yeah, I think that's going to be easy, like
because
easily 10-6.
I mean, I think it's going to be 10-6. Just looking at the Patriots schedule, there are going to be some tough games on that schedule.
And if you caught any of the highlights from the Raiders game against the Saints,
yeah, they're looking good. The Saints, the Raiders are going to put up a fight.
Yeah, tomorrow. Sunday is not going to be, an easy win.
And then we have the Chiefs. That's going to be a tough game.
Yeah,
as well as 49ers, the Bills twice. Texans are always going to be good. The Cardinals have been looking great. The Rams have been looking great. Like, there are some we have a tough schedule. The NFC West is arguably the best division in football.
That's true. But I'm hopeful and I'm optimistic because we have time. And we took, especially going into this past week's game, if someone put a gun to your head and said, name 3 NFL teams that are going to be competing for the Super Bowl this year, I think anybody that pays attention to the NFL would have the Seahawks in that top 3.
Absolutely.
And I mean, if we had 10, 15 additional seconds on the clock, we probably would have beat him.
Yeah, perhaps. I mean, we just couldn't stop Russell Wilson at all. And Russell Wilson, like, he's a tough person to stop.
Yeah.
I mean, he's arguably the second best quarterback in the league.
Yeah, exactly.
Arguably.
Yeah, I don't disagree.
I mean, we were only able to get 2 sacks on him. And there were a lot of times like protection broke down for Russell Wilson, but he was able to run away or get his man to go upfield or just throw it away in some sort of like capacity and live to see another down.
Yeah. No, not to take it, and I'm not taking anything away from Russell Wilson. I think he's one of the best and also one of the most underrated quarterbacks in the league.
Oh, absolutely.
And with him, and I think people really quickly forget what he has for a coach in Pete Carroll too. I mean, they are not to be trifled with.
Yeah, but I liked what I saw out of Cam. I wish we got a little bit. I'm looking at the stats right now. I wish we got a little bit more production from our running backs.
That's true.
That's like the only thing I'm like kind of disappointed in. Like, but also James White being out. Rest in peace, his dad. Our thoughts and prayers are with him and his family.
And apparently the thoughts and prayers of everybody in the NFL. I don't think I was aware of the fact that so many people had so much respect for James White.
He's a good player, man.
He's a good player, but he's also like, it kind of just speaks to the man himself. That
it definitely does.
So many people from all across the league were reaching out to him. And that was a nice little ray of hope and niceness in a world that's in some cases literally burning around us.
Yeah. But I mean, hopefully Sony Michel can have more production. Although they didn't give the ball to the running backs at all. Sony only got like 7 carries, as well as like Rex Burkhead only had 6.
Yeah, there wasn't much. There wasn't much going on there.
Yeah, there wasn't much with it. But Julian Edelman showed up. Great game. I like Bird.
And showed some sides that we haven't seen from Julian either. I alluded to it earlier, under Brady, it was always Jules finds his way under center. He makes, 8 yards, 10 yards, 13 yards. Yeah, he was always just kind of getting roughed up, and it was those short, just like incremental, just death by 1,000 cuts kind of plays. And we saw him. He was a long ball threat. Yeah, he doesn't usually go like long in the past, at least. And he laid out for a couple of them too. That was impressive. Yeah, and N'Keal Harry, it's so good now seeing. I was like, because last year I was like, oh, man, not very productive. Didn't really catch a lot of passes. He was dinged up here and there. Yeah. It's nice to see him being productive and being part of the offense and going up and catching the ball and being really an integral for the screen pass, being an integral part of the offense too. He is some more coaching, some more kind of communication between him and his quarterback, and that already seems to be on its way to being a match made in heaven. I'm okay with N'Keal Harry as things stand this season. There was a rumor going around for a brief second that he and Tom Brady didn't really get along last season, but N'Keal kind of put that to rest. He kind of didn't entertain it at all. Yeah. But I mean, I wouldn't be surprised either way if there was kind of they didn't get along. Well, I mean, it was his rookie year last year, and he clearly did show some struggles in learning the playbook, being where he needed to be. And we've talked about it how many times. Brady needs that consistency, and Brady is Tom Brady when people are where they need to be when they need to be there. He doesn't improvise very well. There's not... No, he's not Cam Newton. He's not Russell Wilson. He's not Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson. I mean, he doesn't have that improvisational ability, which sounds like a dig, but the flip side of that is that for 20 years, he never had to improvise. He had a team that was built around him to be, you will be here when you are supposed to be, so that Tom will put the ball in your hands. Right. And if you're new to that system, that's not going to happen very often. And when you've got an older guy as your quarterback, like we had with Tom Brady, Tom probably wasn't really looking to continue to teach, especially with the rumors going around that seem to have been more or less confirmed that he was already thinking about being on his way out for a couple of years.
Right. It's kind of like a good teacher who they've been teaching for 40 something years, and then they get to the point when they're 64 years old and they're about to retire. They're like 1 foot out, 1 foot in, and they just like really stop giving a shit.
Yeah.
Like I think we've all had like a teacher who has been like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we can think of them very like in our brain, like, oh, that person was very old and they were kind of like just didn't really care.
Yeah.
They kind of just let us do whatever we wanted to and get away with everything. Which in the moment it's like, oh, fantastic. Like less work to do, less all that like things that we can do, but in the grand scheme of things, you go to school to like try to learn and try to like know the subject, and then the next year you're like, oh crap, like I never actually ended up learning anything.
Yeah, you end up behind the eight ball.
It's kind of like that, right? And also, like, let's not forget Julian Edelman. He wasn't a part of this offense, like the Patriots offense, until really 2013 when Wes Welker left.
Yeah.
So it takes years to build that rapport with Tom Brady. That is like, and I mean that it takes years to build rapport with a lot of people.
Yeah, but I think that's part of, and not to just make this the Cam cast, but I mean that really kind of speaks to Cam Newton, the Patriot, the fact that we're seeing production out of N'Keal Harry, we're seeing moves and we're seeing plays out of Julian Edelman. And we're seeing kind of Josh McDaniels orchestrating this offense in a way where there's a lot more kind of improvisation going on. There's plays that we've never seen before. And
he's not as restricted.
Yeah, he's not as restricted, but he also seems to be like really making that effort with new people, which partly is just necessity. Like you're the new kid coming into this system. That's if you want to be the least bit successful, you're going to have to do that. But the fact that we're seeing this team be as productive as they are right now, I think speaks, it's not totally due to Cam, but there's a lot to be said for what he's been able to do.
Yeah,
so
absolutely. I know you mentioned when on Sunday about possibly going after like maybe one more weapon or something like that. Maybe like we should talk about that.
Yeah, I think offensively, we just, you can't throw to Julian Edelman every down. Can't throw to N'Keal Harry every down. And those seem to be the two biggest kind of most productive players that we have. I'd like to see a little bit more signs of life out of our tight ends. I'm sure that's kind of to come. Like that we'll get there. But I think...
for sure.
I think we have a little bit of cap space. We have a little bit of time. I mean, one more kind of real star receiver, I think would go a long way towards, shoring up this offense and making us actual playoff contenders.
I agree to some extent. I think it's I still think it's a little too early to tell. We learned a lot from this week with Cam and what he can do and what our wide receivers can do. But I want to just wait one more week to get a real strong gauge on everything that we possibly can do. Are we good at wide receiver, or do we need like a tight end? Do we need someone who can actually pound the ball like a running back?
Yeah, I think that's go ahead.
Or like the flip side of that, we lost a lot of linebackers. Could we use another linebacker in there in the room? And maybe someone who's a little bit more athletic to maybe be like the quarterback spy and just watch quarterbacks like Patrick Mahomes and Lamar Jackson and make sure that they're in check. Yeah,
no, I don't think that's a bad idea. I think the thing that I just kind of want to leave it on is... we said it at the end of week 1. Like, I don't think at the end of week 1, we had not seen everything that this team could do. It was a very specific kind of win. It felt really good. It was nice to see, players kind of clicking together. I feel the same way after this week. We haven't seen everything that we can do. So I think you're spot on saying, let's not make any changes before this Raiders game. And let's not, jump to conclusions about how great we're going to be or how terrible or, try and slap a label on whatever this team is right now. I think there's still a lot of surprises up the half sleeves of Bill Belichick.
Oh, absolutely. This is going to be a tough game this week against the Raiders. Darren Waller, their tight end, currently has the second most targets in the whole year, so far at least. So expect Derek Carr to pass to him a lot. Bill Belichick is going to do everything to try to shut him down, as well as their new rookie, Henry Ruggs. Very speedy wide receiver. He is their first round pick. So we'll see. We'll see how they got some weapons there in Las Vegas. It feels so weird saying Las Vegas.
Yeah, it's very odd. Well, yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens. But I'm cautiously optimistic still. I think we've got a lot of work ahead of us. I think it's going to be it's going to be an uphill road, but I think I think we're going to be a lot better off than we're even giving ourselves credit for. And by ourselves, I mean the Patriots, because we are not part of the organization. But if they want to sponsor us, we're here.
Yeah.
I would not mind.
We wouldn't turn that down.
Yeah, no.
But anyways, let's move on to our album this week that we're determining whether it holds up or not.
The question is, does it hold up? The album, well, we'll start by saying we reached out to you guys on social media. We had a couple of polls on our Instagram and on our Twitter at PackyRunPod. The competition this week was whether or not we were going to be reviewing Tell All Your Friends, the debut album by Taking Back Sunday, or the self-titled record from Tiger's Jaw, also better known as
the Pizza Record.
Precisely. You guys spoke. You wanted to hear us talk about Tell All Your Friends, which I think this is kind of the more interesting album for us to do, if I may say.
I would agree, especially since growing up, you were definitely the bigger Taking Back Sunday fan.
Yeah, but I will say I was late. I was very late to the party. My introduction to Taking Back Sunday was their 2009 album, New Again. I had kind of been recommended and had heard about this band for a long time. And I do remember, I think it was the song There's No I in Team that was the first ever Taking Back Sunday song I heard. And I did not like the production. I didn't like really anything about it when I first heard it. Because at the time, my big kind of bands at that time were just like Paramore, Green Day, and Fall Out Boy. Like, I had not really kind of taken a deep dive into any of the independent rock or anything like that. I was like radio punk, mall punk, if you want to call it that.
Yeah. My introduction to Taking Back Sunday is actually funny because it was their 2014 record, Happiness Is.
Did I get you into Taking Back Sunday, Dan?
I don't know. Like, I remember, so like at the time that I listened to this album, I had a CD player in my car, and that's how like I listened to most of my music, because I didn't have, like, I was broke then, still broke, but even more broke when you're 18, 19 years old.
True. And
I remember I was like in the CD store, like Newbury Comics, and they were just like, they advertised it, and I was like, I've heard a lot about this band. Let's give it a listen.
Why not?
And honestly, like, I listened to it. That was like I listened to that a lot during like just driving around. Flicker, Flayed, Fade.
Oh, true.
Stood a Chance. Like, those are jams.
Yeah. That album absolutely. It's, it was only released in 2014, but 6 years later, that one still holds up. When that comes on my shuffle on Apple Music, or when I'm like in a Taking Back Sunday mood, that's definitely, it's like that album. The self-titled record is a little bit more hit or miss, but I still really like that. Louder Now is the big one for everybody. Yeah, they've had a long career, which is impressive considering the fact that this album is
their first one.
It's their first one, and it's also kind of divisive now. It never used to be. It used to be, especially in my like absolute punk days, like this was the be all end all for this band. And now that they've had like an even longer career, I think a lot of the narrative around this album has kind of changed a little bit.
Like, I remember growing up, like, this was when somebody was like talking about Taking Back Sunday, it was always this record.
Yeah.
And this might be a hot take, so it's one of the top 3 greatest like bops from this era ever, and that is Cute Without the E.
A staple of B-Pie live sets.
Yes. Or any like emo night set or anything like that. I think it's a top 3 easy song from this era of pop punk.
Yeah, I think you're right on the money with that. I would not disagree. So yeah, the album is Tell All Your Friends. It was released on March 25th, 2002, and it was released on Victory Records, which
at that time, like at that era, we didn't like. Now hindsight's 2020.
Yeah.
We know Victory as like this evil record label, but in that era, they were a fantastic record label. They put out a lot of the best underground punk, like kind of scene bands back in the day.
Yeah, that is true.
They had Blood for Blood. They had, I'm trying to think of some of their other releases that they had.
Streetlight Manifesto was huge at this time.
Streetlight Manifesto. They had Thursday, who a lot of people were comparing this record to a Thursday record, and how blatant that Taking Back Sunday ripped them off.
Oh yeah.
And I mean, in some cases, yes.
Yeah,
of course.
That was that whole, because I believe Thursday was another like Long Island, New York band. Like that whole scene was just like swapping out members between bands. They were all taking. It's not dissimilar to like our high school, college years with like Scranton and Doylestown and like all the Pennsylvania bands that like Title Fight kind of broke through first, and then Tiger's Jaw, the Menzingers, I'm forgetting Super Heaven, like all of those bands were all kind of, you know, not necessarily swapping members, but they were all they were cut from the same cloth is the point.
Yeah. Or it's like all those like post-hardcore and metalcore bands from like later in this decade, like Attack and like Chiodos and like We Came as Romans, and like they all kind of were like swapping members and like had a billion members at that point.
And they all kind of just did the same thing, for better and for worse. There's no judgments there. It's just that just is what it is.
I will say this though, like Taking Back Sunday did Thursday better than Thursday.
I would agree, and I think you can just look at the type of tours that Taking Back Sunday ended up going on. Not that long after this album was put out. I mean, Thursday was big. Thursday was huge for just like a punk band. Taking Back Sunday, they put out 2 albums on Victory, and then got signed to Warner Brothers, and were doing stadium tours really up until probably like 2014. They kind of like came back down to earth a little bit, but in the 10 years span from 2002 when this album came out up until they kind of stopped doing the big shows, they just blew up. They went absolutely massive, and it's hard to believe that all that came from this album.
Yeah, I mean, like, kind of got saturated, but in a sense, but like they broke out, and they were like kind of different than everyone else in a sense. Like, just for research sake, I was listening to a lot of some of the other bands, that they got compared to the same sort of bands from this era of like pop punk and emo, and they were right in line. They still this band is more relevant than a lot of the other bands. Like Saves the Day is not as relevant as Taking Back Sunday at this point in 2020. Or like, what are some of the other bands like from this era? Like,
well, I'll tell you my hot take about this album that I've had. I've sat on this hot take since like high school. My Chemical Romance does not exist without Tell All Your Friends, because you can hear I think My Chemical Romance like perfects the theatrics of this album, but you can hear the melodrama, and almost like if you took a Broadway like drama play and wrote a punk album about that play, you get Tell All Your Friends.
Yeah.
And My Chem kind of took that, like they picked up that baton and brought it a little bit closer to like the theatrics with something like Welcome to the Black Parade. And their kind of whole shtick in the mid to late 2000s with the, you know, with the big kind of production values and everything else. And I don't fault either of those bands for those kind of production values because they had the right music to kind of back that up. As opposed to
and
I was just going to say, like, as opposed to if you look back on the first iteration of Panic at the Disco with A Fever You Can't Sweat Out, like, obviously those songs were huge. That band, in giant quotes, is still huge. But if you watch, like, some of their live performances from that era, like, their music wasn't as theatrical as their shows and their whole kind of like image. There was a little bit of a disconnect there. But I think both of those bands really kind of owe a lot to Tell All Your Friends.
I would agree with that. Also, like, Adam Lassara is just a really good vocalist. He's just immensely talented.
Especially then. I think Adam's kind of lost a little bit. And, you know, chain smoking cigarettes and singing songs that are like well out of your range.
Way out of his range.
Like that'll do it. But he still definitely holds his own. But yeah, back when this album came out and the next few albums after this, yeah, he had again that like theatricality and like just the way that he kind of owned a stage with his mic swinging and everything else. Like he had the I really don't want to use this word, but there's really no better word to use. He had that swagger to like back that kind of thing up.
No, like, it's so true though. Like, I mean, like, I remember not even during this era, but like he would be like swinging on top of like the banisters of like shows and different things like that. I mean, one of the reasons why they got signed to Victory was because the CEO saw them live. Like, Victory was still like a good record label at that point. Not easy to get into, especially like no demo, like they had a demo, but like not like a well-established following and that kind of thing.
Yeah, this was the big kind of coming out party for them, I guess.
Right. So anyways, let's get into the album track by track. To kick it off, we have You Know How I Do.
Opens with that big guitar like feedback, and I mean, at its core, it's an emo album. So
absolutely,
you come right in with the guitars and so sick of being tired and oh so tired of being sick. Like we talked about it with the Menzingers album. Openers can make or break albums like this, especially an album, you know, looking back on this album, and we'll get into some of the production just nightmares.
I mean, I have the remastered version on Spotify. That is what I've been listening to, but I don't know if you have the original.
I have probably 4 or 5 different versions of this record sitting in my iTunes library, actually, and none of them are great. But still, like, it's one of those things where if the songs can stand on their own, then the production doesn't entirely matter.
I mean, my whole thing with this song was, okay, dude, like, you're 20 years old. What are you sick and tired of? Like, now I'm like 25 and I'm like a old grumpy man.
Well, yeah, that's the thing, is that if our listeners haven't picked up on that yet, Dan and I are in our mid-20s, but we are at our very, very core 60-year-old men more than willing to scream at you kids to get off our lawns.
Yeah.
So yeah, but that's the melodrama of it's an emo album, and this was like the height of like kind of emo being on the radio and being kind of like prevalent and everything. So yeah. The absolute insanity of like teenagers just like clutching their shirts and like I feel this so hard. I'm so tired of being sick. Like, yeah, that the irony there is not lost on anybody. But I think that's kind of like the charm of the album.
And I mean, like, there probably is some kid out there that can still relate to this in some sort of like way. Like, yeah, I'm so sick and tired. Yeah, hazy eyes and like that kind of thing.
But this is also the world's introduction to the Taking Back Sunday breakdown, which they still do, and they still do better than any band.
It's like it makes them so unique because no band can replicate that,
and so many try, and they just, I mean, so basically the idea behind this is that Taking Back Sunday has always been dueling vocalists. It's always been Adam Lazzara has been the main vocalist, but there's always been a guitarist off on, stage right, or sometimes when Matt Rubano was playing bass for them for a while, like there's been a lot of lineup changes, which I don't think we have to get into.
No, not today.
But
like, that's not what this is about.
True. But they've always had dueling vocalists. And the thing that they have always done multiple times on every album, and they continue to find new ways to do it and fresh ways to do it, and they continue to, like I said, do it better than anybody else, is at some point, usually after the second chorus, they will go into a bridge or a breakdown part where the vocalists are singing on top of each other, and truly, like, dueling is the right word, where they're going back and forth and fighting for sonic space in like a production way, but also the lyrics are usually kind of going back and forth and having a little bit of a discussion and stuff.
Yeah.
And man, this was the world's kind of introduction to that formula that they have just taken and run with their entire careers.
Right, and I'm sure they're not the first people that have done this. I can't think of any particular band that has done this or like where it came from originally, but they're probably not the first one that's like thought of it.
And so many bands have tried to replicate it, but it's usually been done with like overdubs. So I know that like Fall Out Boy in some of their biggest songs, like some of their big radio hits, have blatantly ripped this off, but it's just been Patrick singing on top of each other. Or singing on top of himself, rather. Like,
right.
It's an awesome songwriting kind of trick, and it helps kind of vary things up, and especially when it's done right, it will really make the ending of a song or that last chorus just absolutely explode. But like the reason if you had to pick one reason why Taking Back Sunday was able to go through like 100-something lineup changes, it seems like, and have a career that has spanned over 2 decades, like this is the reason why. Their bridges, their breakdowns are absolutely insane, and it's where you can kind of see that, okay, we're not just dealing with another dueling vocalist punk band, like general emo kind of pop. This is huge.
One of the things I thought was very interesting was, and I kind of picked up on, and I don't know if real friends picked this up from them, but their whole thing is like bony knees and like sleepy eyes or whatever. Kind of like that, like hazy eyes and like that kind of thing. You know what I mean? It sounded so good when I wrote it down, but I can't think of it anymore. Like so sick of being tired, like that kind of like thing.
Yeah.
Kind of creating like this brand behind it.
Yeah, and they kind of do that. I don't think it's as much of a crutch as I would accuse real friends of having. I think
I would say that. Yeah.
I think that Taking Back Sunday has definitely done something similar, but they do it on kind of an album to album basis. Like there's usually at least a line or two that pops up in multiple songs or something to kind of add to some cohesion or whatever. But yeah, so you know how I do that. Like if that's the world's introduction to Taking Back Sunday, okay, yep, that makes sense.
I think it's a good opener. It kind of gives a very good sense of what the band is about.
Yeah.
And then up next, after that, the second track of that song or album, we have Bike Scene.
And the bike scene. We're back to
I'll leave the lights.
We're back to the melodrama.
I just want to read this one lyric that like
read it verbatim.
I'll leave the lights down low so she knows I mean business. That's a yikes from me, dog.
And this is This was
cringy lyrics.
Cringy lyrics, but here's the thing, like, there was like an unspoken rule in this era of like emo and punk bands where you can talk about sex, but you can't talk about sex.
Yeah.
Like, you can talk about, like, the closest you can get to something like that is talking about your bedroom. Or, I'll leave the lights down low so she knows I mean business. That's as close as you're gonna get to any kind of, like, true, like, innuendo until Pete Wentz shows up on the scene and decides that he follows the same rule, but he's just gonna be, like, blatantly horny.
Yeah.
So, like...
Didn't his nudes get, like, posted and blasted on the internet somewhere?
Yes, they did.
Oh, fantastic.
Oh, God, just... And that was, like, the early days of the internet just kind of taking over everything. So that ended up just kind of getting... that was at a point where that they could get past that, and they had enough of a career ahead of them where that didn't, you know, sidetrack anything. But, man... So much of what happened, like a song like this does not happen in 2020. It just, I want to hate you so bad, but I can't stop this any more than you can. Like, oh man.
It's a very dated song, to say the least.
It's a very dated song, and it sounds, I mean, it paved the way for the story so far. Take that how you will.
And a lot of other bands. I mean, I think the overarching theme of this album is, like, the ideas behind it. Some of them are good. Like, depending on who you are, they're good ideas. The execution of them, not that great.
Yeah.
But this is kind of like a blueprint and other bands, like a launching point for a lot of other bands.
Yeah. Not to mention the launching point, obviously, for this band. Like... This album was huge and remains huge, like you said.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's gold certified record. Like,
but it sure as shit,
as big as it gets.
It sure shit is not a gold certified record because of the bike scene.
No, yeah.
So then we
and they use that same sort of formula, like the same song beforehand. As like with bike scene as well, with the call and response and like that kind of thing, enduring vocals.
Yeah, they come right in, and you know that is one thing that I will give this album. And you know, if you're gonna sit there and debate, you know, ranking Taking Back Sunday albums or anything else, like I'm not gonna fault anybody for ranking this one really high because they came out of the gate just fucking swinging. Like as many production issues as there were, as much of an issue as there was later down the line with Victory, like the in-band fighting and everything else, like they came out and they were like, here's our sound, take it or leave it, because this is basically what you're going to be getting for the next 10 years from us. And people identified with it. I mean, there's a reason why people love this.
Yeah, and then right after this, we had Cute Without the E, which
this
I mentioned
is
earlier.
The hit.
This is, I mean, like, earlier, like, think of, like, earlier in the podcast, not this one, but, like, a couple, like, either 10 podcasts ago, I said, like, Taking Back Sunday has maybe 3 good songs.
Oh, that was a hot take.
Which, I mean, take it for what you will. This is, like, one of the hits. This is one of the best songs that they have written.
This might be... I think really the only other song that they've written that comes close to this is Make Damn Sure, as far as just like widespread appeal. And that says something because the actual like originally released version of this song sounds horrifically bad from a production standpoint. There is no reason for this song to have ever been as big as it was. So there is like a high-pitched whine, like a dog whistle sound that shows up anytime the vocals come in. And it's not exclusive to this song. That's on most of the album. I don't know what's causing it, but it's horrible.
Was it the band's doing, or was it the producer, like the engineer, do you think?
I think it's an engineering issue. I don't know if they just weren't paying attention to that particular like range when they were doing equalization on vocals. I don't know if it was something with like the transfer, because this was right in the sweet spot between like bands recording on tape machines and bands recording directly into Pro Tools. Like, there were a lot of things that could have contributed to that, but oh man.
But this had a budget though. Like, this had like a $10,000 budget.
And it went over budget too, which is crazy.
Yeah, it went over budget. The reason I was asking was I know that the producer changed quite a bit of things on them, and they were mad about it.
Oh yeah, the producer and the label went through and changed a bunch of stuff. So that's why I was saying earlier, I have like 4 or 5 different versions of this album, because there's the original 2002 release of the album. There's the remaster that came out whenever that came out.
That came out like recently, didn't it? Like, I think 2019 maybe?
Something like that, yeah. There's a compilation basically of all the different demos for all of these songs, because most of them had been sitting around for a while. Like, this album was written long before, it was almost fully written long before it was recorded. And then there's also, somebody was able to get the original kind of quote unquote final recordings. And that high-pitched whine is on almost every album, or almost every version of the album. There's still some, this is the flip side of the coin from Bleed American by Jimmy Eat World, I think. So Bleed American was like the perfect harmony of analog recording, like recording to tape, recording all on a mixing console and everything else, with a lot of early Pro Tools influence. Like, there were some effects and things like that you never would have been able to do without a computer. Bleed American is like the best case scenario for that kind of hybrid recording technique at that time. The flip side of that coin is Tell All Your Friends by Taking Back Sunday, where, again, I think really the only reason why this album kind of launched their career the way that it did is the fact that the songs themselves were really good. They were really well put together. They had charismatic people in the band, but the actual recording itself is questionable at a lot of points, especially considering the kind of budget that they were dealing with recording the album.
I can't speak to this very much, but you being the Taking Back Sunday fan that you are, and I don't think I've listened to like the next record after that, but what is the production value in that one versus this one, for example?
On the next album?
Yeah.
So Where You Want to Be, and I love comparing Taking Back Sunday to other bands, because it's always just kind of fun to see like other successful bands, which helps contextualize why this band still has a career in 2020. Taking Back Sunday took I don't know which came first. They might have been almost simultaneous, but Taking Back Sunday and Linkin Park, for their first couple of albums, had very similar career trajectories. Like, Linkin Park puts out Hybrid Theory, which is a smash, like absolutely dominates rock radio, huge record. And they follow it up by putting out, what the hell was the name of that second album? Meteora. And Meteora it's Hybrid Theory Part 2. The song structures don't really change. It's still like Linkin Park. The production's a little bit better though. They do a little bit better job of like pumping up the low end and doing some cool things as far as that's concerned. Taking Back Sunday did the same thing, where they put out Tell All Your Friends, and again, from a production kind of standpoint, this album is kind of a nightmare. So what they do is they put out Where You Want to Be a couple of years later, and Where You Want to Be is essentially Tell All Your Friends Part 2. A lot of the song structures are the same. They had a couple of lineup changes and stuff, but from a production standpoint, it doesn't sound that much different from Tell All Your Friends, but it's just refined. Like, the production is a little bit better. It's not quite as tinny. You don't have the high-pitched whine. They made some strides, but it's still largely just the same band writing the same songs, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't know. I've never actually sat down and actually taken a deep dive into that record. But Q Without the E, what else can you say? It's one of the most iconic songs from that era. Like, I put it with Sugar We're Going Down. I put it with it's a staple of any emo night playlist, any emo playlist.
Yeah, it's melodramatic. It's got a massive chorus. The breakdown is, it's one of the big sing along parts on this album that doesn't absolutely make your eyes roll, just the hoping for the best, just hoping nothing happens, 1,000 clever lines on red on clever napkins. Like,
Yeah.
there's melodrama there, but it's still like there's an artistry to that really kind of like it'll get to you when you hear it at emo night or when you watch the band play it or something like that. Like, it's still huge. Of course, that's followed up with Why Can't I Feel Anything from Anyone Other Than You, which is super fun to sing in a crowd and to hear on like live albums and stuff like that. But if you sit back and think about it too hard, it hurts.
It's kind of cringy. But there's a lot of cringe in here. But like, what can you expect from? I think wasn't like Lasar, like, how old was he? Like 20?
I think he was like 23, maybe.
I think he's like 29 right, or 39 right now.
Mm-hmm.
This was 2002. So 21.
Somebody do the math for me. I'm bad at this.
Yeah, 21 years old. So, I mean, like, you're still, like, I mean, there's in that regard, like, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly. And that's kind of my feelings on the whole album. It's just okay.
Yeah.
Then we've got There's No I in Team, which is definitely my favorite track off of this album.
I would say besides Cute Without the E, this would be my favorite song too. And like I was listening to, and I listened to the breakdown, and maybe this sort of like influenced easycore in some sort of crazy way.
Yeah.
I could definitely see that.
They definitely took it to the extreme, and they really kind of made breakdowns. But yeah,
it's not, even with like the screaming at the end, it's not like they kind of like dip their toe in, and then like other bands like A Day to Remember or 4 Years Strong or Chunk No Captain Chunk.
You listen to Chunk, bro?
I'm not a fan of that band, but the other two bands, they're all easycore bands. It's all kind of corny. This is kind of like a melodramatic song that's not about like hanging out and pizza though.
Yeah, that's true. But
it kind of brought that idea to it. Like I said, kind of a little bit of like the blue point to it, and then Newfound Glory like probably listened to this and like expanded it a little bit more,
brought in more of the like hardcore elements and stuff. Yeah,
but you can hear the blatant like hardcore references in this, not references, but like that kind of thing.
Yeah, I like I love the kind of the dueling vocals are in full display here right off the bat. Like each line is basically traded off between Adam Lazar and John Nolan, and they just go back and forth basically throughout the entire song, and it makes it sound like a little bit of a conversation. And it's about two friends having a falling out, and this was the song that brought up the whole Taking Back Sunday Brand New kind of beef, which I guess the songs were released after everything had kind of been all shored up between John Nolan and Jesse Lacey. Yeah, it's a really good song.
It's just funny how fans like
made it so much bigger.
Made it so much bigger until like, I guess even up until like Jesse Lacey and Brand New were like canceled, it was still a point of contention and people were still talking about it. And there was still, some people still had the debate like, oh, what do you like more, like Taking Back Sunday or Brand New?
Yeah. And they were both from the same area, and it was both, they both had kind of their dedicated fan bases and everything. But for the most part, like that whole feud was basically just fueled by fans for the most part. Like John Nolan and Jesse Lacey were best friends, and they had a falling out over a girl, so they wrote some songs about it, which again leads me to the conclusion that like this album if this album was released today, I think most people would just kind of lean back and be like, all right, boys, relax, and kind of write it all off.
Which, that's a great segue into probably the cringiest song on this record, Great Romances of the 20th Century.
Yeah, there's a
lot to unpack with this one.
Yeah.
Like are you turned on?
This won't mean a thing come tomorrow, and that's exactly how I'll make it seem. Like, yikes.
Come on, let's get this over with.
Yeah, like never actually.
Yikes.
They're never actually explicit about what they're talking about, but yeah, you're sitting there listening, and it's songs like this, especially in this era of like emo and punk music, that really just has you kind of sitting back and being like, oh no.
Yeah, I mean, like I thinking back, like at least with like Brand New, they had like the 70 times 7, and like
yeah, the violence, the violence, and also the just like dismissal of women as a whole, because that doesn't roll anymore. So it was like,
I mean,
it's a product of it.
This one is kind of more like, she's kind of reluctantly wanting to do it, but still wants to do it, and it's awkward.
Yeah, and that's just like, yeah, in 2020, not a conversation that anybody, I think, is. I mean, people want to have the conversation about these kind of things, but it doesn't need to be immortalized in song. So, yeah, not a great look.
Instrumentally though, how do we come out on this one?
It's fine. I don't think it's one of the best tracks on the album, but it's okay.
I would tend to agree with that. It's definitely not, it doesn't feel like a filler song or like a song that just shouldn't be there. Like, it definitely fits.
Yeah.
Unlike the next song to me, which is like Ghost Man on Third, that feels a little bit fillerish to me.
Yeah, which is it's always felt fillerish to me as well, and it's still one of their bigger songs, especially when they play stuff from Tell All Your Friends. Like, people love Ghost Man on Third, and it's, yeah.
I wrote in my notes, like, stick to the punchy punk songs. Like, stick to what you're good at. Like,
yeah.
Like, they were trying to write a ballad, and I mean, the idea, fine, like writing like this sort of ballad, but the execution was bad. I would give like a comparison to this would be like MCR with the Black Parade. Great idea, even better execution with it.
Yeah,
like flawlessly.
Yeah, this was just like, this one felt a little bit more. Yeah, it feels filler-ish. I think it's like, we need to get to 10 songs. Okay, what can we do? Yeah.
Oh, yeah, let's do this.
We haven't written a ballad
and I don't know if there's like a different version of this, or like in the original demos or whatever, but like,
I will say, like, for this song though, the outro, just the repeated line, "This is what living like this does." Again, from a moral standpoint, like, if you're looking at it through a certain lens, definitely kind of questionable, but also, yeah, it's fine. It's just a filler. It's a filler track on a debut album. You know, they were going to have missteps. This is, I think, the first big misstep. Yeah, it's fine.
But like, then again, what would this album be then? Would it be like, would you have rather like a full length album or like an EP as like their first debut thing?
I think I would have liked to see an EP. I think I would have liked to see them really kind of trim the fat off of this album. You know, they had a handful of just absolutely massive songs, and they had like a demo or two that were kind of out in the wild at this point. So like the Northeast was already kind of aware of Taking Back Sunday when this album came out. So I could see them putting out like a debut EP on Victory Records with just the hits and still having a pretty damn good career. But you do kind of have to kind of admire the pluck of this band at this point in their career, sitting back and just kind of going, no, we're gonna do a full length and we're gonna put it out, and we're just gonna tour religiously on it for like 3 years until the next one comes out.
Okay.
Even after lineup changes and everything. I mean, that's wild. Before the next album came out, they were on like Jimmy Kimmel and stuff. They were playing like nationally syndicated TV and massive tours and stuff before the second album even came out, and they had already changed up their lead guitarist / vocalist and bassist.
Now, do you think, I think with all the lineup changes, I mean, this is there's an argument to be made, this is a better debut record than Fall Out Boy's debut record, for example.
Yeah, I think.
But like I would say this about like Fall Out Boy and Take It Back Sunday. Fall Out Boy had the same consistent members the whole time. Do you think if Take It Back Sunday had the same members the whole time, would they have kind of that same trajectory?
No,
as Fall Out Boy.
not at all. Because the two members that they brought in were better musicians than the two that left. I think at the time, at least.
You're talking about Taking Back Sunday?
Yeah, so Fred Mascherino and Matt Rubano came in for guitar and bass, respectively, after John Nolan and Sean Cooper left. And Matt Rubano is like a classically trained bassist, and Fred Mascherino is like a really, really great guitarist and a pretty damn good singer. So, the follow-up album was basically just more of the same. They were on Where You Want to Be, and that was, that's a fine record. It's just... they just took the formula that they had for this album, made it better, did some better production, decisions and stuff like that. And then they put out Louder Now, which had Make Damn Sure, and that entire album produced by Eric Valentine is huge and is probably one of the best rock records from the late 2000s overall. Even though I still get mad. I understand what they were going for, but I still get mad at the drums on that album. But that's for a different time.
Yeah, of course.
Let's talk about Timberwolves at New Jersey.
I think it's one of the more overrated hits from this record, I will say.
I would agree.
And I don't think that's a hot take at all. I think it's lukewarm.
I think it's lukewarm, but I do think that oh man, where is it? Yeah.
All right,
yeah.
so
I've got the mic and you've got the mosh pit. I mean, this song was made for the Warped Tour crowd. It's
of course. But I like the riff. Like riffs are good, and the melody. The melody is fantastic.
Yeah.
My beef with this record or this song, there are certain lines in it that are like way too long. For example, I think that you should know, and also like poetry that's way too long and it feels forced to me. Especially the way that he sings it and enunciates his words.
Yeah.
And he does it throughout the whole song, especially on the verses. Like I think that's a great little melody that he has, good riff, but just write a different lyric, write a different line, like use different words that fit with what you're trying to say.
Yeah, I would agree. I think in the long run, absolutely. I think one of the things that kind of like still endears this to one of the things that endears this song to Taking Back Sunday fans still is just the fact that like this is where the punk kind of credibility comes in, where like it's very clear that they were doing that punk band thing of just like throw everything at the wall and see what sticks. Like, we have the lyric here. Can we kind of force it in and make it fit to the melody that we want to put here? We can kind of get away with it. Okay, yep, that's good enough. Like, it's got that kind of looseness to it that I'm okay. Like, it checks out as that. It's a product of the time. It's early in the band's career. Yeah, that's
fair. That's a fair assessment to say. Maybe I was a little harsh with that, and
no,
I'm just particular about lines actually like flowing, and fitting like what they're supposed to.
Yeah, exactly. No, so it's I'm critical of this song too, but it does have that special kind of like it has that place in a Taking Back Sundays fan. Wow, that's a tough one to say. A Taking Back Sunday fan's heart. There we go.
There we go. You've seen Taking Back Sunday live, haven't you?
A couple of times.
Have you? You've seen this song live, I'm assuming.
I have.
At least.
Yeah. I think I've only seen it live once, because I'm pretty sure they played it at Warped Tour 2012 in Mansfield, Massachusetts.
True. Would you say this is more built for the live audience than it is built for like a studio record?
Definitely. It's definitely, I mean,
especially like that line that you mentioned earlier, like I got the mic, you got the
mosh pit. That's the thing. It's just, it's that part of the record where, you're gunning for the live crowd. It's the song that you hope that everybody sings along to. Like, you want that big hold out the mic and let everybody sing along moment. And
I mean, they intentionally do that in this song. And I mean, it holds up in that regard, but I would say it's overrated.
Yep, fair assessment. So that leaves us coming up on the Blue Channel, which no. Just no.
I had nothing to really say about this song except it's like they kind of start with the chorus, and so like it's different. They change it up at least, but it's like the same sort of formula, and it's like, okay, we get it. Like,
also the piano part was never supposed to be as fast as it is in the final release. Depending on who you talk,
that is true.
Depending on who you talk to, it was the label or the studio guys that decided to speed it up to the same tempo as the rest of the song, which makes it sound absolutely ridiculous at the beginning, which is an immediate turnoff. And yeah, it's...
If you were the engineer in this position, what would have you done differently with that?
It would have been cool as an interlude. I've heard the original piano part. Like, you can find it if you're looking for it. And the piano part's cool. It's fine. It's nothing to write home about, but it's a pretty nice little piano-y part. So, like, having that and then just kind of launching into, like, maybe the chorus a couple of times, maybe one verse, like, having this as more of an interlude kind of thing and really kind of working on the parts of the song that work instead of trying to really stretch it out and make it a full song would have been an interesting kind of way to attack it. But it's, you know, it's just another misstep on a debut record, which, fine. I can't entirely blame the piano part. It's just not that, in my opinion, not my favorite song by them.
I think you could take or leave this. It kind of feels like filler to me.
Yeah.
Just cut the fat, like I don't know, unless they really felt something with that piano part and they really wanted something with it. Like, yeah. I could see it as like an interlude, like,
I would have taken it, if I were in charge, I would have taken it, made it more of an interlude kind of deal, and then I would have thrown it between There's No I in Team and Great Romances, and let it kind of serve as the halfway mark of a shorter album.
I think if they were, and they've a label was reached out to them and tried to get them to re-record this record, but like I think it fits for that time period, but in 2020, if this was released, like brand new record, that would probably be what people are thinking, because I don't think people were thinking about interludes back in 2002.
Yeah, I mean, this album is how long? 33 minutes. Like, yeah. They kept it tight.
They kept it very short.
So yeah, it's whatever. Followed up by, again, one of the great songs that this band has written, You're So Last Summer.
Yes, I would agree with that. And that opening riff, like the palm mute, that is one of the most copied and ripped off riffs in all of pop punk.
Yep, real simple, just power chords.
I have heard that riff the only one I've heard it like multiple times, but like the one that comes to mind is like a song off of Man Overboard's record, Septemberism, off their record, Real Talk. If you get a second, definitely check that, like listen to the opening riff from Septemberism and then listen to Take It Back Sunday.
You're So Last Summer. Yeah, definitely.
You're So Last Summer.
I definitely see that comparison.
And I mean, like, it's an easy enough riff. It's not, you also can't copyright, like, as far as copyright rules, like, you can't really copyright that. You can only do, like, lyrics and, like, melodies and, like, that kind of stuff, unless it's blatantly, like, using the same riff.
Yeah.
But, like, this is like, different chord progression.
Well, even when you are blatantly using the same riff, if you listen to the intro chords to Cute Without the E, and then listen to Face Down by the Red Jumpsuit Apparatus or 45 by the Gaslight Anthem, they are the same.
Well, it's because like there are only so many chords. There's only but with progressions and different melodies and that kind of thing, those things you can get in trouble for.
Agreed.
Like we've seen with like Ed Sheeran or any other like artist who's gotten in trouble with copyright, like lawsuits.
True. But yeah, I mean, the melodrama's back in full swing on this one. You've got the truth is you could slit my throat, and with my one last gasping breath, I'd apologize for bleeding on your shirt. Again.
Simp. Simp alert, simp alert, simp alert.
So yes, it's fun to sing in a crowd. It's one of those lines where if you think about it too hard,
Adam a simp.
It's
Adam, like, this is probably his best vocal performance on this record.
yeah. I don't disagree. I think some of the sustained notes and stuff like that, he's showing that he's got more than what he initially lets on.
I think it's his best performance. I think he does a really good job throughout this song. But God, like that, like, I'll apologize for bleeding on your shirt.
Yeah.
God,
Oof.
man, no, that's so cringy. But then again, when any of us have ever written songs when we were 20, 21, like 19, 17 years old, we were all writing cringy shit like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, Taking Back Sunday is not writing these same sort of lines in 2020.
No, I think as much as people like to, especially older fans, really kind of like to tear them apart for some of their newer sounds, I think that they have become much better lyricists as they've moved on. But yeah.
Well, and they're just a rock band now. Like,
yeah.
I mean, like my introduction to Taking Back Sunday, Happiness Is, like, that's just a good straight rock record.
Yep. And that's what they've become, and that's what they kind of like evolved into, and I'm not mad.
Yeah, and I mean, like, you can't expect Adam Lazar, like 39 years old, to sing about going to the mall and awkward experiences with girls.
True.
Like, he's married at this point. Like, that'd be kind of weird.
It would be very weird, yes. So yeah, I think that is my hot take is right here, right now. I think that's the last really good song on this record, because this album does not end on a high note for me.
The only thing I wrote on my notes for this song, like Head Club, that's the name of this song. Big 4 Year Strong vibes.
Yeah, I can see that.
You could see, like, definitely 4 Year Strong has been influenced in some sort of capacity by this record.
Yeah, I would say so. And it's just,
especially with the back and forth that they do, not just in Taking Back Sunday, but also with 4 Year Strong, they do like the back and forth vocals, like kind of having a conversation with one another.
Yeah. And the outro of "Don't Call My Name Out Your Window, I'm Leaving. I'm sick of writing every song about you." That's okay. Even in 2002, every fucking band on the planet, especially every all-male band on the planet, had written those lines. Like, it's just forgettable. It's
like nothing new has been brought to the table with that line particularly.
Yeah, it's just okay. It's there. Fine, whatever.
I mean, it didn't leave me. It wasn't like, oh man, I wonder what's gonna come next. Like, I want to listen to the next record and hear what's gonna happen next. It kind of just was like, oh, okay. Like, if they left it off with "You're So Last Summer," I'd be like, oh crap, like what's next? What's gonna happen?
Yeah, and that's kind of what we were alluding to when you asked what I would do differently, and I was talking about how I would kind of structure this as more of an EP. Like, the high notes are really high here, especially for a debut. They really could have just made this like 6 or 7 songs and put it out with a slightly some different kind of choices on the production side, and this would have been not necessarily bigger, but just, I think, more lasting. And I think it would have, not to give away the game here, I think it would have held up better that way.
Yeah. This one, like, we keep saying it feels like a little filler, and it kind of does. It's like,
Yeah, and that just leaves us with the ballad of Sal Villanueva, which is another...
Whoa, what? I don't have that on Spotify.
That is the bonus track from the album, song number 11. It's on the CD. It's like the hidden track, I believe, and it is also not really worth spending a lot of time on, to be honest. It's just not great.
Well, I didn't even listen to it, so that shows you how well informed I am.
Yeah, it's not great.
Why would you say it's like not that great?
It's just it's very similar to what we were talking about with Head Club. There's just there's not a lot going on. They're not bringing much new to the table. It just feels like, okay, we, especially in 2002, where it was like kind of the tail end of the CD era, it just feels tacked on. Like, wait, we're putting out our first, album on a big label. We should have a secret track. So we're gonna put this song on that has like, it's a little bit of an inside joke because Sal Villanueva was he was the producer for the album. Like, it's there. That's the most I can say about that song. It's there. Like, I'm not even sure if they ever performed that song live. It's fine. It's there.
Right.
There were better things to come from this band.
I just thought about this question. Do you think they have milked too much from this record? And when I think of a lot of people think of Taking Back Sunday, they think of only this record. Do you think they have mostly milked this record like whole?
Yeah, I think I liked the idea. So for the band's 20th anniversary, they would do a thing where they would come into town. They went on a big giant, it was mostly like amphitheaters and stuff. They were huge shows. And basically they would play 2 full albums and then a little bit of like a greatest hits kind of set. And when they would come into town, they would flip a coin to determine which albums they were going to play in full. I love that idea. That's the coolest way I've seen so far to kind of get the like nostalgia of, get people to buy the tickets. They don't necessarily know what they're buying into, which I know a lot of people were a little bit disappointed about, but like, that's awesome. I love that idea. But when the album turned 10 years old, the original lineup was back together, so they decided to do a giant like acoustic tour, and then they did another tour in support of the fact that they were releasing the acoustic album that was recorded on that tour, and like I feel like they have milked so much from their first record, and it's like, all right, we get it. You're the band that played you have Cute Without the E, like, come on, all right, like. And I think my 2 thoughts on what you just said is just like, one, that's a dangerous game to play when there are recordings of this band playing Cute Without the E without the full original lineup, and some of those live recordings sound better than the record. So like, tread lightly. But the other thing,
you say that to me?
No. To like, if I had the band's ear, like,
right.
That's so. Especially at the time, I was a little bit hesitant about those kind of things. But the other thing that I will give them credit for, as far as milking this album, is that it would have been so easy when they reunited and they had the full original lineup back. It would have been really easy for them to go and do Bamboozle and go and do a big national tour the way that they did, and just go, we're just going to play the hits. We're going to play Tell All Your Friends in full. We're going to like, look at, we have John and Sean back. We're going to do the whole thing. And instead they really they waited until they had stuff to put out. They announced, I'm not sure if you remember this, but Mark Hoppus used to have a TV show, like an interview show on Fuse.
I think I vaguely remember that.
I believe that's where they announced that the band was kind of back together, and then they kind of launched right into releasing new music and figuring out what their sound was going to be now, which resulted in the self-titled album and in Happinesses, and then later in Tidal Wave, which I think is almost as good of a stretch of albums as Where You Want to Be, Louder Now, New Again, and I am well aware that I'm in the minority of thinking that. But yeah, so here's the big question then. Tell All Your Friends by Taking Back Sunday. Does it hold up?
I would say yes. And I'm hesitant about it. I think some of the songs hold up. Like, they're gonna always hold up. They're always going to be played. They're a classic emo song. It's kind of like how the Ramones have Blitzkrieg Bop. Like, that song is always going to hold up. That song is always going to be played somewhere. It's like the same sort of thing with Cute Without the E by Taking Back Sunday.
Yeah.
And that song kind of, in a way, I think it holds the album higher. If it didn't have that song, I would say no.
So
but that song carries so much of the record, I feel like.
yeah, and that's part of the reason why my answer is no. It doesn't hold up.
Ooh.
I think I'm a Taking Back Sunday fan. I have been following their career with interest, especially since my days sitting in my former friend's basement and listening to New Again, and then really kind of doing a deep dive on this, driving out to New York with all those people to see them play in like a venue that was in the middle of a strip mall, which is still one of my favorite memories. Like, I've had a pretty decent history with this band now, but Tell All Your Friends does not hold up to me. There's production issues that make it hard for me to go back to these versions of these songs. Kind of like I said earlier, I would rather listen to, they have a live album from Bamboozle in 2010, I believe. I will listen to that version of Cute Without the E thousands of times before I will listen to the album version. You can't take away like the high points of this album. Cute Without the E is an emo staple. Anybody that ever takes an interest in alternative music is going to run across that song at some point, I think. And
yeah,
that's probably for the better. But man, as a whole, yeah, this album struggles to keep my attention all the way through. And it's a half-hour long record, and there's only 10 or 11 tracks, depending on whether or not you count the Ballad of Sal Villanueva. And like, as a launching pad and as like a kind of start for a career, I have a lot of appreciation and a lot of love for it. But no, in the year 2020, nah. Like, there are better versions of these songs, and there are people that took the ideas that are in these songs and did them their own way, kind of like we were talking about with Fall Out Boy and My Chemical Romance, and like all of the emo bands that really kind of took the Taking Back Sunday formula and brought it to a truly global scale.
Right.
This has its place in history. It's going to be considered a classic for a long time, and rightfully so. But no, I don't think it holds up.
I think that's fair. To me, at least, like, this will always be, they keep doing the tours around them. People still keep showing up. People still keep showing interest in it.
Yeah.
I think that's a huge thing. If no one cared and no one would showed up for it, like, I think that's one of the reasons why I think personally, I'm like, this holds up.
Yeah. And my opinion is not to take away from that at all. Like,
right, exactly. It's not.
Those are just facts. That's undeniable. Absolutely. But yeah, for me, does this album as a unit of songs hold up? No. This band went on and did better things, and other bands took elements of this and refined them and did them in ways that were more refined and more profound. So
yeah, I would say so.
They were the springboard, but what came after 2002 was
there were better things,
much
for sure.
Better things. Yeah, exactly.
I'm not gonna put this record on all the time. This is one of those records, like, like if I'm feeling a little bit nostalgic, like I'll throw it on, but it's not my first choice by any means.
Yeah. So that's our deep dive on Tell All Your Friends by Taking Back Sunday. Yeah. So far, I am really loving this format, I gotta say.
Me too. I'm having a lot of fun with it. Let us know what you think about this record. What are your thoughts, feelings, opinions? Do you disagree with us? Do you agree with us? The
DMs are open, people.
DMs are always open. It is Pacuran Pod on both Twitter and Instagram. So hit us up.
Talk to us about sports.
Let us know.
Talk to us about music. Tell us what we should do a deep dive on next. Tell us if you're liking this new kind of formula for season 2, because so far this has been awesome.
Yeah, we're having a lot of fun with it. We're doing the two things that we like that we haven't done before. Like last season, we didn't really talk all that much about music, but we wanted to talk some more about music this go around with it, as well as talking about our beloved Patriots.
It's the two things. It's the hallmarks of the friendship, and now we're letting you guys in.
let's get into our recommendations. Every week we do some sort of recommendation. What do you got, AJ?
This week for my recommendation, I'm gonna go with probably the least surprising thing that I could possibly talk about. This week my recommendation is a television series from the early 2000s, late 90s, called The West Wing. I am fairly politically active. I follow a lot of those things, and sometimes I like to escape into a little fantasy land where things actually get done, and they get done in a way that is collaborative and makes sense and stuff. So it's a nice little warm blanket some nights, especially after the fucking tragic passing of Ruth Bader Ginsburg.
Yes.
I have started what is probably my 1000th rewatch of The West Wing, and whatever side of the political divide you fall on, whatever, there's no real judgments here. It's really good television, and it's really well written, and it's really well acted, and I love that show. It's my favorite TV show of all time. You should go watch it. Suffer through it for a little bit. You got to try it a couple of times. It's dialogue heavy and hard to follow sometimes, especially for people that haven't been watching it since they were 5 years old, like me.
Yeah, I had a hard time getting into it.
But it is
not gonna lie.
But it is really, really good. There's some really, I mean, the humor is top notch, which is kind of the thing that initially got me back into it. Like I said, I've been watching it since I was 5 years old, but when I started watching it critically, one of the things that really kind of got me hooked was it's just, there's a little bit of slapstick humor, but it's mostly just really smart humor. And if you're paying attention, you'll latch onto it. And once you get to that point where you actually kind of understand what's going on in the broad strokes, it's all over. It's so good. So yeah, watch The West Wing. It's on Netflix. It might not always be on Netflix, but that doesn't matter to me because I have the DVD set of the entire series because I'm a fucking nerd. And you can roast me all over social media if you want to. Dan, what are your...
You could probably get a VPN and like watch it from like another country or something like that too.
That is absolutely true. So yeah, that's my recommendation. Dan, what do you got?
Mine is just a song. And it popped in my head today. Last record store day I was at, this was back in 2019. The last record store day I went to, it was this record store day crawl back in 2019, which was very fun. It was through Do NYC. They had like barbecue buffet and they free drinks, toted us around in like this bus going to different record stores. And there was this one record store that we went to in Astoria, Queens. I currently forget the name of it, but I got this $5 grab bag of different records. It came with like 10, some older records and everything. And one day I was over at my friend's house and I brought all my records and I had this one right here. It's called Santa Esmeralda with the song Don't Let Me Misunderstood. It is a cover of an Animals song, and it's just this wild, funky disco, like Latin song.
Yeah.
Which it's really fun to listen to. It was actually in the movie Kill Bill, so you might know that from that. But Santa Esmeralda, Don't Let Me Be Misunderstood. It's just a good dancey, like pump up, like sort of Latin.
Get you going.
Like disco vibes. Yeah. It's fantastic. It's like 16 minutes of it's really cool.
Could use that.
It's a vibe.
It's a vibe.
It is definitely a vibe. That's probably what I'm going to be listening to right after this recording sesh.
Tight. All right. Well, anything else to add for this week's episode?
Take It Back Sunday still has 3 good songs.
Okay. All right. Apparently they're all on this album.
Yeah. Sorry guys. Like, sue me.
And yet he thinks it holds up. But that's been this week's episode of the Pack You Run podcast. Thanks for tuning in. Hit us up. Tell us we're wrong. Tell us we're right. Follow us on our social media at Pack You Run Pod. Like us and rate us on any of your podcast clients. Tell your friends about it. do the whole thing.
Yeah, and we'll talk to you next week. We'll probably do another album next week as well.
We'll let you guys know.
But talk to you soon. Take it easy.
Bye-bye.